Welcome in our next Zoom meeting. We were talking about marketing audit, and I started discussing the concept of STP. We discussed that in consumer segmentation, we have 4 ways of doing it: geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. And I told you that we have to see that if our segmentation is done in a right manner, that can be a strength. And if we have not segmented the market in a proper fashion, that can be a weakness. So let's see how the segmentations would be calculated and evaluated. We are looking at behavioral segmentation. The behavioral approach segments buyers into groups based on their attitude to and use of products and the benefits they expect to receive. It uses such variables as usage rate, impulse purchase, brand loyalty, and sensitivity to marketing mix variables such as price, quality, and promotion. The table below illustrates an example of market segmentation where marketers have noticed people can be categorized by which toothpaste they use. Now, when you talk about behavioral segmentation, the benefit segmentation of the toothpaste market, we have categorized the toothpaste market into the following details. There can be the sensory segment, the sociables, the warriors, the independent segment. And then we have to see how they're going to get the major benefit. What are the demographic strengths? What are the special behavioral characteristics? What can be the brands disproportionately favored? What are the personality characteristics? What can be the lifestyle characteristics? And then we have to see that how different companies have segmented themselves related to behavioral segmentation, how we can market our concern related to segmentation. And we have to look at the phenomena that either the benefits segmentation of the toothpaste market is properly developed or not. If there are certain missing segments, missing aspects, missing analysis, so that would result in our weakness. Okay. Secondly, bear in mind that the consumer markets and the industrial markets would be segmented differently. For example, when we say characteristics of people and organizations, in case of consumer markets, we focus on age, gender, race, income, family size, life cycle stage, and etc. But when we look at industrial organizational markets, we are concerned with industry location, size, technology, profitability. So different characteristics are used for industrial segmentation and consumer market segmentation. Another example, when we look at the purchase and use situation, the size of purchase, brand loyalty, purpose of use, these are linked with consumer markets. And in case of industrial markets, we have to see application, importance of purchase, volume of purchase, frequency of purchase. Same way, when we are looking at users' needs and preferences, in terms of consumer markets, we are talking about product similarity, price preference, brand preferences. But in case of industrial and organizational markets, we have to look at performance requirements, assistance from suppliers, brand preferences, and etc. So you have to be very much careful when conducting the marketing audit that once you study the marketing context, you need to go through the STP. And in STP, I'm just focusing upon the first aspect, which is segmentation. Now, how would you validate that the segment you have chosen is the right segment? Okay, so the validation criteria for segmentation is that can the segment be measured? If yes, that is a good segment and that is a proper segment and that can be a strength. Is the segment big enough? If the answer is yes, that can be a strength. Can the segment be reached? If the answer is yes, that can be a strength. Do segments respond differently? If the answer is yes, that is a strength. Can segment be reached profitably? If the answer is yes, that is a strength. And is segment suitably stable? If the answer is yes, that is a strength. And vice versa, if the answers to these questions are no, that means your segmentation is not properly done, and that can result into a weakness. Once the segmentation is done, in which identifying meaningfully different groups of customers, the next step is targeting. And targeting would mean that out of all the segment groups we have developed, which segment groups you are targeting upon. So targeting would be selecting which segments to serve. And once you have targeted, then the next step would be positioning, which would mean implementing chosen image and appeal to chosen segment. And in your positioning, obviously you have to talk about your marketing mix in terms of manufacturing. You talk about 4 P's in terms of services. You have to talk about 7 P's. And then you have to do the audit of everything to find out your strengths and weaknesses related to marketing department. And once the positioning is done, then the step and the procedure of distribution and promotion would be continued. Now, in terms of marketing, when you talk about targeting, after the segmentation, you need to see that either you have targeted undifferentiated markets, or you have targeted differentiated, or you have targeted concentrated, or you have targeted micro marketing. So again, I'm showing you all these details so that you should be very much clear that the audit would mean every nitty-gritty detail in which you have to find out your strengths and weaknesses. And you have to see that either your target market is appropriately defined or not. So in terms of undifferentiated markets, marketing target the whole market with one offer, which is mass marketing, focuses on common needs rather than what's different. But if you go for micro marketing, so micro marketing would mean micro marketing is the practice of tailoring products and marketing programs to suit the tastes of specific individuals and locations. So again, you have to be careful that after segmentation, either you have gone for undifferentiated or micro marketing situation. Once the targeting is done, now you have to look on your target markets concern. And the target markets concerns can be in terms of product, price, place, promotion. And when you do the audit of the product, these are the questions you need to answer. That what does the customer want from the product? What features does it have to meet these needs? How and where will the customer use it? What does it look like? So these are the aspects related to product, and obviously we have to see in terms of strengths and weaknesses. When you'll be doing the audit of the price, what is the value of the product or service to the buyer? Are there established price points for products or services in this area? When you talk about promotion, where and when you can get across your marketing messages to your target market? Will you reach your audience by advertising in the press or on TV and etc.? And related to the place, where do buyers look for your product or service? If they look in a store, what kind? How can you access the right distribution channels? So answer of all these questions would be resulting into the marketing's strength or weaknesses. Again, I have tried to summarize the other P's as well, like people, process, and physical environment. And I have sorted out the points which are part and parcel of your marketing audit related to all the aspects: product, price, place, promotion, people, process, physical evidence, and what are the things you need to look at. Just for your information, the marketing mix is not just linked with the 4 P's. It can also be the 4 C's related to the company, customers, competitors, and community. It can be also the 4 W's, the economic wealth, the environmental wellness, the social well-being, the human wisdom. It all depends that how you're going to define your marketing purpose in relation with your marketing centricity. There can be the 4 E's as well in terms of experience, everywhere, evangelism, exchange, and these 4 E's are again in relation with your community channel cost and communication. They're also in link with consumer convenience, cost and communication, and they are eventually linked with your product, price, place, and promotion. Okay. Just try to think out of the box. There can be another marketing model which we can investigate, that either in case of product, you're focusing on solution. In case of place, you're focusing on access. In case of price, you're focusing on value. In case of promotion, you're focusing on education. So we have to see that how the marketing features, functionalities are defined, and how marketing strategies are developed, what type of terminologies are being used, and how are all these things going to be ended up in strengths and weaknesses. So related to your product, price, place, promotion, you should be clear what, why, when, how much, and who, the W's concept. And once the answers to these questions are with you, and those answers are affirmative, those answers are in your favor, that would be the strength. If the answers are not according to what you think they should be, the obvious weakness is demonstrated. You can go through the details afterwards. There can be 4 A's as well. There can be 4 O's as well. So there can be so many concepts. You have to think out of the box, not just in terms of the 4 P's concept, and to find out that how the positioning related to the STP analysis is going to demonstrate your strengths and weaknesses. So once the segmentation is done, you have sorted out the target, found out that how you are going to position yourself in the minds of the customer, how you are going to calculate the points of parity and points of differences, how the customer is going to drive the value out of these things, what is your positioning statement, how you're going to advertise, how you're going to make the advertisements more attractive through IDA concept, attention, interest, desire, and action, how you're going to promote your product online, offline. So there are so many concerns which you have to look upon when you will be conducting the marketing audit. There is another modern marketing mix in which the internet facility is being incorporated. And in that context, you have to look upon the strategic marketing concepts, the outbound marketing, the inbound marketing, the marketing measurement concepts and the tools and the techniques, the social marketing mediums in which the LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, all of these things would be evaluated in terms of your organizational facility. You also need to look upon that what is your marketing mix decisions. And in terms of marketing mix decisions, you need to see what is your product mix width, product mix length, product mix depth, and product mix consistency. For example, the word product mix would mean it consists of all the products and items that a particular seller offers for sale. But when we say width, it means it refers to the number of different product lines the company carries. When you say length, refers to the total number of items the company within its product lines. And when you say depth, it refers to the number of versions offered of each product in the line. And the consistency would mean refers to how closely related the various product lines are in end use, production requirements, distribution channels, or some other way. Let me elaborate all these concepts with the help of an example. Supposedly there is a product mix. So the product line as shown in the first category would include the product type 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the product line depth. And the product line width would include all the products, right? So another example can be, look at the Samsung example. So product line width would be the television, the telephone, camera, refrigerator, washers, and the product line length would be that you're going to launch HD TV, you're going to launch LCD, you're going to launch plasma TV. So that would be the product line length. Another example of different product line length, width, depth, and I'm quoting the same example of the Samsung. And in this example, look at the volume of the manufacturing of Samsung Corporation. That the statistics depicts the number of mobile phones sold by Samsung worldwide from 2010 to 2015 by quarter. And the figures are just in front of you. And these are astonishing figures. In the third quarter of 2015, Samsung sold around 102 million new mobile phones to end users. So Samsung once again tops the table by 20% market share globally. The South Korean tech giant shipped 59 million mobile phones in Q1 of 2020. And the figures I'm quoting on May 6, 2020. So we have to be very much careful when conducting the marketing audit that organizations, corporations, they have got wide number of products. They have got very detailed product line length, width, depth, and concentrations. And we have to see that out of all those product lines, the product line length, width, depth, what are the strengths, where are the strengths, and where are the weaknesses? What are the products which will be posted eventually as dogs in the BCG matrix? What are the products which are going to be the stars of the today and tomorrow? What are the products which are going to be the question marks? What are the products which are going to be the cash cows? So we have to be very much careful when we are conducting these analysis, when we are trying to find out the strengths and weaknesses of an organization. Related to the marketing, when you will be launching the customer analysis, your author says the examination and evaluation of consumer needs, desires, and wants involves administering customer surveys, analyzing consumer information, evaluating marketing positioning strategies, developing customer profile, and determining optimal market segmentation strategies, and essential in developing an effective mission statement. Now, in customer analysis, in marketing context, you have to see that if the customer analysis is done in an appropriate manner, that is a strength. And if it is not appropriately done, as mentioned in the slide, that would be the weakness. Supposedly, we're going to conduct the audit of our ads. So what can be the desirable characteristics of ads? As I just told you that whenever you're going to design an ad, you have to look upon the IDA concept, attention, interest, desire, and action. But keeping in mind the IDA, what can be the desirable characteristics of ads today? For example, it can be take direct aim at competitors, so leaner, meaner, and to the point, be less lavish and glamorous, requiring less production dollars to develop, be short and sweet, mostly 10 to 15 second ads rather than 30+ seconds ad, make you feel good or put you in a good mood because ads can be more easily avoided than ever and people are experiencing hard times and seek comfort. Be more pervasive, such as on buses, elevators, cell phones, and trucks. Appears less on website as banner ads become the new junk mail. Red will overtake the color orange as the most popular ad color. More than ever emphasis low price and value versus rivals. More than ever emphasize how the product service will make your life better. So these are the features we have to look in our ads, campaigns. And why I'm telling you all these things, because you're conducting the marketing audit. And in marketing, all the related activities conducted by the marketing and sales department, they need to be studied. Another aspect related to the product and service planning your book is talking about, it says includes activities such as test marketing, product and brand positioning, devising warranties, packaging, determining product options, feature, style, quality. Important when a company is pursuing product development or diversification. So you have to audit all these things to find out what are the associated strengths and weaknesses. Related to pricing, as I told you earlier. Related to distribution, where do you go for warehousing? What are the distribution channels, distribution coverage, retail site location, sales territories. These are all things to be investigated, especially important when a firm is striving to implement a marketing campaign related to development and forward vertical integration. Marketing research is very important, related to your gathering and recording of data, related to the goods and services, where you can uncover critical strengths and weaknesses. So cost versus benefit analysis is to be done, like compute the total cost associated with the decision. We're talking about related to marketing. Estimate the total benefits from the decision. Compare the total cost with the total benefit. Now, coming to the marketing audit checklist of questions, which your author has discussed in the book. The first question is, are markets segmented effectively? Now, that is the question for which I have given you all the details in the previous slides. Again, read the question. Are markets segmented effectively? Now, if you have not gone through all the details I have just covered in the slides, how would you be able to answer this question in terms of your strengths or weaknesses? Look at the second question. Is the organization positioned well among competitors? Now, if you have not gone through all the details I have covered in the previous slides, how you're going to answer this question in terms of strengths and weaknesses? Look at the third question. Has the firm's market share been increasing? Are present channels of distribution reliable and cost effective? Now, if you have not done your cost versus benefit analysis related to marketing, how you're going to answer this question? If you have not done the marketing research, how you're going to answer question number 3? So does the firm have an effective sales organization? Does the firm conduct market research? These are all the checklist questions, and the yes answer to these questions are the strengths, and the no answer to these questions are the weaknesses. Seventh question. Are product quality, customer service good? Are the firm's product and services priced appropriately? Does the firm have an effective promotion, advertising, and publicity strategy? Are marketing planning and budgeting effective? Do the firm's marketing managers have adequate experience and training? Is the firm's internal presence excellent as compared to rivals? So these are all the questions we need to address related to the marketing department. Let's talk about finance and accounting audit now. Just like marketing and management aspects, we have to go in a lot of detail related to the finance and accounting functions. The major decisions which the finance and accounting department are going to take are related to the investment decision, financing decision, and the dividend decision. Related to the investment decision, it says the allocation and reallocation of capital and resources to projects, products, assets, and the divisions of an organization. You have to investigate these things. Related to the financing decision, determines the best capital structure for the firm, and that includes examining various methods by which the firm can raise capital. Related to the dividend decisions, if you are talking about a corporate body, and we have to see at the dividend decisions, so concern issues such as the percentage of earnings paid to stockholders, the stability of dividends paid over time, and the repurchase or issuance of stock. These are all the issues related with the dividend policies. And we have to see that related to the dividend policies, what are the strengths and weaknesses we are having. Determine the amount of funds that are retained in a firm compared to the amount paid out to the stockholders. These are the concerns we need to talk about. Then your author talks about the financial ratios. And in terms of financial ratios, we have to see the liquidity ratio, the leverage ratio. We have to see how to calculate these ratios, and obviously what does it measure. And whatever are going to be the results of the calculations, we have to compare those results with 4 criteria. We have to compare those results with our own past performance. We have to compare those results with the industry average. We have to compare those results with benchmark values or given any other set of values. So after the comparison, we have to see that in terms of current ratio, in terms of quick ratio, in terms of debt to equity ratio, what are our strengths and what are our weaknesses. So your author related to the financial ratios gives you the formulas and what it measures, and then says that in terms of your financial audit, you have to see the areas, the places where you require more attention. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses related to all the ratios you're going to talk about in terms of finance? So when you're conducting financial audit, you have to look on these aspects, that how has each ratio changed over time? The historical perspective, the trend analysis you have to do. How does each ratio compare to industry norms? And how does each ratio compare with your competitors? When you do finance and accounting audit checklist, the first question can be, where is the firm financially strong and weak? Can the firm raise needed short-term capital? Can the firm raise long-term capital? Debt or equity related? Does the firm have sufficient working capital? So you have to go through all these details when you talk about finance and accounting strengths and weaknesses. Are capital budgeting procedures effective? You have to look on that. Are dividend payout policies reasonable? And obviously, dividend payout policies will be discussed when we are conducting an audit of a corporate body. So does the firm have good relations with its investors and stockholders? Are the firm's financial managers experienced and well trained? Is the firm's debt situation is excellent or not? So these are the concerns which are going to end up in your details related to strengths and weaknesses. When you do production and operations audit, the next department we are going to talk about, your author says you have to see that the production and operation function consists of all those activities that transform inputs into goods and services. And the production and operations management deals with inputs, transformation, and outputs that vary across industries and markets. Related to the functions of production and operations, you have to see on the decision areas of different processes taking place, the capacity calculations, the inventory management, the workforce management, and the quality issues. And related to every aspect of process, capacity, inventory, workforce, and quality, the details are just given in front of you in the slide. For example, related to the process, these decisions include choice of technology, facility layout, process flow analysis, location decisions, line balancing, process control. All these details are coming from the operations management course. Like capacity, you have to talk about scheduling, capacity planning, queuing analysis. Related to inventory, you have to see work in progress inventory, finished good inventory, raw material inventory. Related to workforce, you have to see that either the workforce with your organization are skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled. What are the qualities of the clerical staff? What are the qualities of the managerial employees? And related to quality, obviously you have to see the cost control, quality assurance, testing, sampling, and all these things. Implications of various strategies on production and operations. You have to look on low cost provider. If that is the strategy, its implications related to the business are that if you are low cost provider, it would create high barriers to entry for the competitors. If you are low cost provider, it would create larger market. And if you are having any questions right now, you can ask them on the WhatsApp group, because I have to finish up this discussion in our given time. Secondly, the various strategy can be the high quality provider. If you are a high quality provider, its implication related to production and operation would be that it would require longer production run. It would require more quality assurance. It would require more expensive equipment. And likewise, we can see that various strategies can have various production and operation implications. And we have to see that what are the drive, strengths, and weaknesses related to all these. When you are conducting the production and operations audit, these are the questions you need to address. That are supplies of raw material, parts, and sub-assemblies reliable or not? Are facilities, equipment, machinery, and offices in good condition? Are inventory control policies and procedures effective? Right? Another set of questions can be, are management information and computer systems adequate related to the research and development audit we are talking about now? Are present product technologically competitive? Does the firm have R&D facility? Again, I'm telling you, related to these audit checklists, that if the answer is yes to these questions, that is a strength. If the answer is no to these questions, that would become the weakness. But before saying yes and no, you need to have all the required data with you. Related to management information system, you have to see that either the information systems are appropriately placed, and the audit checklist points would be, do all managers in the firm use the information system? Is there a chief information officer? Are data in the information system updated regularly? Again, answers yes are strengths, and if the answers are no, that is the weakness. You can also look at this set of questions. Is the information system user friendly? Are computer training workshops provided for users of the information system or not? Value chain analysis is the next step you need to talk about. In the internal audit, so far, we have covered number 1, resource audit. Then we talked about cultural audit. Then we talked about management function audit. Then we are talking about departmental audit. And now we are looking at value chain audit. And related to the value chain, we have already covered the concept of corporate value chain and industry value chain in our previous session. You have to refer to those videos. And in terms of value chain, it says, refers to the process whereby a firm determines the costs associated with organizational activities. And I told you there are 2 types of costs, value added and non-value added, for purchasing raw material to manufacturing products to marketing those products. Okay, and obviously through just-in-time procedures, we have to reduce our non-value added costs and we have to focus more on our value added costs. We also need to go through our benchmarking activity, which would be an analytical tool used to determine whether a firm's value chain activities are competitive compared to rivals and thus are conducive to winning in the marketplace. So we have to go for the benchmarking activity as well. So that would be the whole procedure. You have to go through the value chain activities as identified and assessed. Then you have to look at core competencies related to those activities. Then you have to look at those core competencies creating competitive, distinctive competencies. And through that, you have to look at the competitive advantages. And if the link is in a positive and affirmative way, it would be the strength. And if it is not, that would be the weakness. After having a complete list of strengths and weaknesses through number 1, cultural audit, management function audit, resource audit, value chain audit, departmental audit, we are provided with list of strengths and weaknesses. And that list of strengths and weaknesses is to be summarized in IFE matrix. The IFE matrix is just like the EFE matrix. Look at its demonstration. On the left side, the only change we are going to have is that instead of opportunities and threats, you're going to write strengths and weaknesses. And out of the complete list of strengths and weaknesses, you have to arrange them in hierarchy of priority. And out of that hierarchy of priority, you have to pick the most important 5 to 8 strengths and 5 to 8 weaknesses, and you have to write those in the left column. Then you have to allocate weight. The weight would mean that how much important those strengths and weaknesses are for the organizational facility. Then you have to allocate rate. The rating would mean that how much is the response of the company in either improving the strengths and overcoming the weaknesses. And then you have to multiply weight with the rate and you'll get the weighted score. And you have to sum up all the weighted scores and you'll get the sum total weighted score. And that sum total weighted score would be your IFE score. And then that IFE score would be compared with your own past performance or the industry average or the benchmark value or given any other value, just like we did in the EFE practice. So that basically concludes our today's session of internal audit. Inshallah, we'll be coming up with more details in our next session. Jazakallah for today. See you next time.